I'm a little bit of a bother at the moment, Chris, to be honest, because Kylie is in the country. She's here. She's on our continent, back home. She's at the Crown Plaza in Perth. And for international listeners, that's a long way from Chris and it's a long way from me. But I just don't know. She's in a matter of hours, she's going to be taking the stage for the opening of the Tension tour. And I'm too scared to open my phone because I refuse to have any spoilers. So what am I going to do, Chris?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough little week and a half or so, isn't it?
It is. I really don't know what to do because I don't know if there's a way to mute it on Facebook, but I'm in every Kylie group, as you can imagine, probably like you. So
yep.
I just won't be able to open the newspapers, and I won't be able to open anything. Because I don't even want to know what the opening is. I want to know nothing. Are you the same? Are you going to do spoilers?
Look, I don't want any spoilers, but I'm very, very, very eager to read a set list.
Oh, see, that's a spoiler.
It's the only spoiler I want. I just want to know what we're expecting, but in terms of, show, photos, visuals, I want it all to be a surprise.
On the East Coast, we've got a little while to go. When are you seeing her?
I'm seeing her on the 26th here in Brisbane.
Oh, she goes to Brisbane before Sydney.
Yeah. So I think it's Perth. I think it's Perth, Adelaide, 3 Melbourne, 2 shows here, then back to Sydney.
I don't know if she's done that before. I could be wrong. I know with the Rhythm of Love tour, I'm sure that started in Perth. Now that's taken me back and it's challenging my mind, but I remember listening to her on FM radio while she was rehearsing for Rhythm of Love tour.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that started in Perth, but wow, that's a strange route, isn't it? So what did you say? Perth, Adelaide, that makes sense. Then Brisbane.
Then Brisbane, then Sydney, yeah.
Where's Melbourne fit? After Brisbane?
Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney.
Right. Going from Melbourne to Brisbane. Anyway, look, they do all this logistics. I don't know why I'm so curious, but I didn't know I was the last on the route. I thought I was one of the first. So what date are you seeing her on? 26th?
The 26th, yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing her on I'm seeing her on the 1st of March.
Yep, that sounds about right. I think it's that Mardi Gras weekend. They've worked 3 shows in there somehow.
All you Australian, Sydney in particular listeners, my God, isn't it a nightmare? The accommodation, Chris. I think I reached out to you and said something along the lines of, can't talk, busy trying to book my trip. Usually a Sydney trip is fairly easy to book, but God, I ended up in some godforsaken place because everywhere was booked.
Yeah, it would be very busy down there, I would imagine.
Yeah, and what's it like in Brisbane? You said that you're not far from the stadium.
I'm not far at all, no. I'm sort of only 3.5 k's from Brisbane City, so I'm nice and close.
So what are your plans, Chris, for the 26th?
Early knock-off from work, any excuse to get out, I've got a few friends and a few mates coming around for a couple of pre-drinkies. Off we'll go, probably raid the merch stand. And then be there with plenty of time to, get seated and,
yeah,
it's an exciting day.
Do we know that yet? Is there a supporting act?
It is. It's a girl called Mallrat who is a indie
Mallrat
sort of
from Home and Away.
She's a Brisbane local actually.
What's her name? Mallrat.
Mallrat is her stage name. I don't know what her real name is or why she goes by that.
MALL and then rat.
Yeah. Mallrat.
Yeah.
Admittedly, look, I must be getting old because I don't know a great deal about her.
Let's look her up, shall we? Let's find out how many times she's been charged with violent crimes. Mallrat is a comedy that runs for 2 hours and 3 minutes that was made in 1995. Well, that can't be right, Chris.
It's not. They haven't brought Shannon Doherty back, I don't think, no.
Is she in that, is she?
She was.
Never heard of it.
She was.
And so do we know the times or anything like that? Is it like 7:30 for Mallrat and then... I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, look, as close as it is, I can't say I've looked into it, but it must be something like that. I had 8 o'clock in my mind for some reason. I don't know when that's when Kylie's on stage or when that's when the support commences. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah. Look, I just remember going to Madonna's Rebel Heart, and that's a totally different story because Madonna's renowned for going on late. And the DJ, I felt so sorry for her. She wasn't too bad, but she had to just pad and pad and pad. And honestly, even I was going, get off the stage. I can't stand you anymore. Been 3 hours, lady.
Yeah, it's a night. Look, one thing about Kylie is
She's punctual.
she's very professional in that sense. You know that when she advertises she's going to be on stage, she will be on time.
I'm guessing it will be around 9 p.m. or so. But like you say, she's punctual.
She is always.
Bottom line is you're going to look at the set list, but you're not going to click on any videos.
No, I don't want to see anything else. I want it all to be a surprise.
Do you know what the opening track is going to be? Or prediction?
It's got to be lights, camera, action. It can't be anything else, honestly.
And what do you think she'll close with?
Oh, do you know what? Look, I think, in all honesty, I think she'll close with Story.
Wow.
Because knowing her, I think that fits nicely. But then I think that will follow into an encore with Padam Padam.
Yeah, she's got to close with Padam. If we're not all going home on the cruddy public transport or Uber or whatever it is with Padam in our head, then something has gone wrong with the tension to her. That's my opinion. So how much do you know about this A-Lock or A-Lock Petrillo? And look, by the way, Chris, he's no relation to Sophia Petrillo.
It must be a sign of my age again. Don't know a great deal about him at all. I have read that I don't know how I've missed that he's the apparent fourth biggest DJ in the world, but apparently so. Obviously,
he's the guy who's produced the new single that we're going to quickly talk about, which is Last Night I Dreamt I Fell in Love. A complete knockoff of Do You Have Someone for Me, in my opinion. But nonetheless, not a bad track, but he is Brazilian. And he's a twin. He has a brother, and I think together they own a music publishing company or whatever. Anyway, he owns his own songs is the point of the story.
Okay.
And it's interesting. Like he's like you say, reputationally one of the biggest DJs on the planet.
So they're saying. Yeah.
So they're saying. That's right. Even though you and I haven't heard of him. But that doesn't say much, does it? That doesn't say much. What did you make of the track?
Look, doesn't grab me enormously. It's a track. It's a bit generic. It's a bit generic for me. I wasn't wowed at all, to be honest. I don't know if it's one I'll be rushing back to in a hurry.
No. How many times did you listen to it?
Look, since yesterday, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It doesn't have the earworm, does it? Where it makes you want to go, I need to hear that again. It
doesn't, and I completely agree with you. It sounds a lot for someone for me, really. But that siren-y sound, which is I don't know. I'm not into it.
Would it go down well? Are you and I again on the? Let's challenge ourselves. If we were younger, would this be like? Would we be so hip and cool, and this would be on in the club?
I don't know. I don't
think it would be.
I don't know. But look, if I was in a club, which is not often for me these days, if I were, I doubt that I'd be launching myself out of a chair to race to a dance floor, put it that way.
No, fair enough. And have you seen the video?
I have, yeah. Look, I thought it was, I don't know, it was a bit budgety. It's a bit, it was
you and I should be sitting on a bus seat for this chat, I reckon. Because I'm totally with you. Yeah, it was a bit cheap. It was really a bit cheap, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, coming off the bat, because we didn't get another single in a proper sense since Lights, Camera, Action, you've gone from something so polished to something very not.
It's meant to be a little palate cleanser, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, in my personal opinion, sometimes I think less is more. Either keep people hanging in the anticipation that the show's coming, or if you're going to tease them with a new track to kind of kick the tour off, make sure you're 100% confident it's going to be a certified banger. So if you haven't got one of those on your hands, better off just left, I think.
Yeah, we really should be on the bus stop because I really, really couldn't have echoed those sentiments better myself. That's how I felt. I was like, it's meant to be a palate cleanser for the tour, Tim. Get over it. Get over yourself. Just enjoy it for what it is. And then I thought exactly what you said. I thought, but if you're going to whet people's appetite for the tension tour, like, would this really have any effect at all? Maybe for the big fans so that we, I don't know. It has no effect on me and I'm a super fan.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always going to be those people that absolutely love every single one. I'm not. Look, I love the ones I love, but the ones that aren't, that really don't grab me, I just kind of, I'm always a little bit disappointed. And unfortunately
Yeah.
for me, this was one of those ones.
Danny could have released this.
Danny could have. Yeah, Danny could have. It's just, look, I think lackluster is just the word for me. It just didn't hit on any level for
Yeah.
me. I just kind of went, nah.
Yeah. And look, and that's no disrespect to Danny, by the way. I just feel like this is a bit more of her genre for a start. And I don't know, it felt very much like a Danny track. Hey, what did you make of Do You Have Someone for Me? The remix of it, if you want to call it that, or the updated single.
I agree with you on that, if you want to call it that. It's look, I like the song. It's not one of my absolute favourites on Tension 2. I like it, but I didn't see the point of that. I don't know why you'd inject any money or marketing into that remix to me, other than a opening kind of note or two. It was kind of the same song.
And they cut the best part out, which I know I've laboured in previous podcasts, but at the end of the album track, that's when all the music falls away and she just repeats those very sad, somber lines, and that's gone.
Yeah, it's just, it was, I don't know, it was a little bit, it left me a little bit perplexed on what the point of that was, I've got to be honest.
Were you waiting for the video like I was?
Sorry?
Were you waiting for the video like I was?
Look, no, I wasn't confident there was going to be a video. I thought it was like one more of those promo singles, kind of like on Disco she did with I Love It, or,
Yeah.
I thought it was just a bit of a kind of keep people on their toes sort of moment. I wasn't hanging for a video, no.
But Tension 2, right? Like, great album, lots of potential singles on it. And what did we get in the end? We got Lights, Camera, Action, and is that it?
And that remix.
You're joking. I've never thought of that, actually. We only got one single, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's insane. But she's been busy.
Which is really disappointing, because I thought it was absolutely screaming for a strong follow-up single. And hey, look, there were probably a good few hot contenders in there that, with the right visual and the right video, would have really popped off. But my assumption would be that with other international commitments and rehearsing for this tour and trying to get all the ducks in a row and all the rest of it, maybe time frame wise it just fell by the wayside. I don't know, but seems like an incredibly missed opportunity to me.
Yeah, I'm perplexed by it, because what would you have had as a single? Like you say, lots of singles screaming there. What would you have picked?
Look, for me, probably Good As Gone or Taboo.
Yeah, both good choices.
Yeah.
And just tell me, help me understand before you go. How excited are you for this? You and I have waited a long time here in Australia. Golden Tour was the last tour she had here. I think that was 2019. And then, of course, for some of us in Australia, we had the Mardi Gras World Pride, I think it was called, in Sydney.
Yep. Yes.
At Hyde Park. I think it was Hyde Park. Either way, somewhere down there. So besides that, we're thirsty.
We are, because before that, it was Aphrodite, right? Which was what, 2010? 2011?
No, we had Kiss Me Once.
Of course we did.
Yeah.
Which in the end, I liked the Kiss Me Once tour. I had a great time. I watched the DVD 1,000 times. But for some reason, I don't know how that slips through the cracks. I did forget that.
You love her as much as ever, Chris?
Do I?
Yeah.
Of course, always, even with the odd dud song here and there. But yeah, of course.
It's just absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's been very quiet, deliberately so. I'd say that her strategy, or just been busy, right? It's not even a strategy. We haven't heard a lot from her after quite an intense period for the past couple of years. We had Tension and singles and Tension 2, and we had Vegas. It's been Kylie.
It has.
But I've been pining for her, I must admit. My life has been a little bit empty since, when was Lights, Camera, Action? It was like November or something, I think. So
yeah,
it's been a little while.
Was it October, November or something like that?
Yeah. So, and like you say, even the dud songs, it still kept Kylie on the map and me talking about her and thinking about her. But I'm still listening to her every day, but it's just been very quiet. And That's what she wants, probably, so that when she's right there on the stage in front of me, I'll probably be hot clutching my heart, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Chris, we're in for a treat. And just so the listeners know, you're not going to hear from me for a little while because I can't possibly do anything until I've seen her. Because that would mean I'd need to do some research or go on social media. So
yeah, no, don't do it to yourself.
No, total media blackout. But Chris, I can't wait to talk to you again after the tour and find out what you thought of it. Did you get good seats?
I did. I've been trying to desperately determine, I think I am right in front of what they would call the B stage. Whether that's a B stage for this show or not, I don't know. Otherwise, I'm very close, but in front of some sort of sound mixing thing. But close all the same. Look, let me tell you, we're a little bit behind here in Brisbane until all this Olympic stuff gets on track. So unlike the venue that you're probably going to, Brisbane Entertainment Centre is quite small. So let me tell you, even if you're in the nosebleeds at Brisbane Entertainment Centre, it's still not bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I saw Bruno Mars at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre, and it's a great. I thought it was a great venue. Like you say, small, but that's good as an audience member.
Absolutely. So I mean, look, even if you miss out and you don't get such great seats, it's still what you call pretty intimate, I guess. Well, not intimate, but in terms of stadium sizes, like no seats really a bad seat for a show like hers, I guess. But I am nice and close. I'm quite close to this apparent B stage, so I'm excited for that.
Not like those. There's some places you go and you would literally need a periscope in some of the seats to see who's on the stage. And just a shout out to those people. There's been a couple who've written to me and said it's hard to work out where we're sitting. And I'm just not mathematically minded. It's interesting. I'm picking up on something you said there. You're not quite sure. And I've looked at the map too and went, I think I'm in a good seat, but it's sort of hard to tell. But that's half of the surprise, I suppose.
I guess so. Look, I'm destined to... I will have a great time wherever I'm sitting, trust me.
Pedaming away.
Certainly will be.
What are you wearing?
Do you know what? I don't know. I don't know, and I usually have that planned out, but this time I haven't. It's still very hot and humid up here, so probably something comfortable. And if I'm raiding the merch store prior to, I might throw on a Kylie t-shirt, I think.
Oh, that's not a bad idea, actually. And you're absolutely right. In Australia and any other country where it's warm, like Asia, where she's heading, it's really hard to go all out, isn't it? Because then you end up sweating through your clothes during the actual show. So you get to a certain age and you think, oh, bugger it, I'm wearing a singlet and thongs.
Look, I'm not sure a lot of people this time will go all out here. It's the one apprehension that I probably do have, because it's just, I don't know if you've been to these things sometimes, but you guys in Sydney, you're lucky to have weekend dates, right? And everybody's out for a good time. Nobody cares because, it's the weekend, right? We've got a midweek show. And what I find with the midweek show, the audience engagement and participation is not always the same because it's a school night, right?
Yeah.
So that makes me a little bit nervous. I think every other time I've seen Kylie, the last few times, has always been a weekend date, but this time, like Wednesday night, like boring.
Are you going to work the next day?
Look, I'm supposed to.
It might be one of those famous Australian sickies, mate.
I might be starting to feel unwell already, yeah.
And Padami in my stomach can't possibly come in. Hey,
Absolutely.
I was thinking, in Brisbane too, you wouldn't want to dress up Padam style in that sort of costume. You might get bashed by all the rednecks up there.
Yeah, true. I don't know if I'd call myself that brave. I don't think, no. You won't see me in any red leather. No.
You will see some there, though. I can tell you, there'll be someone.
There will be some. There will undoubtedly be some in red capes and all sorts of ridiculous stuff, I would imagine. Yeah.
It is great, though, isn't it? That she's given us so much imagery since the last tour that's so definable as a moment in her career, like the red padam and even disco, gave us some, God, if anyone who could afford to dress up in that Magic video, the big, whatever that was, gold thing. I'm not good with clothing. But yeah.
Look, absolutely. I mean, I'm waiting for someone to turn up in their pink dressing gown and their hair rollers in. I mean, I don't know.
Yes, that's true, isn't it?
Yeah, there's plenty to work with.
You don't have enough hair to do that, do you?
I don't. Not by a long shot, no.
Yeah, if somebody got hold of my hair, they'd like to do that. I can tell you, there's plenty of it, plenty
No.
of
But
it.
look, great idea for someone else.
Yeah, well, yeah, count me in. If anyone wants to do it, I'll turn up like that. Dressing gown too. That's not bad, is it? Very
Abs-
cash.
Absolutely. I reckon you could pop down to Kmart and pick yourself up a fluffy pink dressing gown, no worries.
It truly does. Besides for gold hot pants, it's probably the cheapest Kylie outfit you could possibly don.
You're probably right. You are
Yeah.
probably right.
Chris, it's been lovely talking to you. I'm going to catch
You
up
too.
after the show. Send me a message, but don't give me any spoilers, okay? Because you're going to get there first.
No. I will. I'll keep. If I come across it, I'll keep it to myself.
See you, Chris.
See you, mate. Thank you. Bye.
Whereabouts in the United States are you?
Louisiana.
Oh, okay. What's
Yeah.
famous about Louisiana? What's Louisiana known for?
New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's like the big. That's like
Great
probably
music.
Yeah, like jazz music, Cajun food, like.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because Louisiana was actually originally French.
France owned like a great piece of land through the United States, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Louisiana Purchase. Is what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what brought Louisiana
Wow.
into the United States. Yeah.
And is it a good place to live, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably places in America that are better, but I mean, it's pretty nice. I don't live anywhere near New Orleans. Though. The thing is, like, America is so big.
Yeah.
It's like I live in Louisiana, but I live about 4.5 hours away from New Orleans.
Oh,
So I live
okay.
I live on like the other end of Louisiana. I don't really live anywhere near New Orleans. I live. Are you familiar with Texas, like Dallas? Are you familiar with like where that is?
I think I am, yeah. I also know the show, J.R. Ewing.
Yeah. Well, I'm closer to Dallas than I am to New Orleans, so.
Oh, very good. Very good. And that's where you were born and raised.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
What do you love about celebrity? And which celebrities do you love?
Well, actually, before you called, before we got on the phone, I was listening to Sabrina Carpenter's new deluxe edition of her Short and Sweet album. Have you had a chance to listen to it yet? It just came out like today.
I haven't listened to it yet, but I am aware that it's there because it's flashing, but I've been at work, so I'm looking forward to listening. But when they say deluxe, what does that mean? A few new tracks? Or
Yeah,
what?
I think 5 additional like new songs on like the deluxe version of Short and Sweet that she just released. It just won the best pop vocal album at the Grammys, I think.
It did. It did indeed. It did indeed. And what are you making of the deluxe version? Is it good?
It's all right.
Yeah.
There's a song called 15 Minutes that I really like. She did a remix of Please, Please, Please with Dolly Parton.
Get Out, really?
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I kind of prefer the original more, but I mean...
I can't wait to hear
it's
that.
Cute. It's cute. Like, and they did a whole little music video for it. I got the notification this morning and I watched it. It's cute.
Dolly Parton's getting around. I'm sure she did something with Beyonce not that long ago.
Yeah, she was on Cowboy Carter. That one just won the Grammy for the Album of the Year.
What did you make of that? Was it bought? Did someone what's his name? The husband, Rock
Jay-Z? No.
Jay-Z, did he buy it?
I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all. Like, because I mean, Look, people are gonna say what they want, but when you've been in the business as long as Beyonce has, I think what Destiny's Child came out in like what 98.
Yeah,
That's like almost as long as I've been alive. So like she's definitely put in her work and like put in like the effort, and she's probably one of the hardest working women in like music when you really think about like the scopes of like
yeah.
her tours and her videos and her performances, like
Look,
how
I
much
agree with
detail.
you. I agree, but I don't think longevity is a good enough reason to get album of the year. I mean, put it this way: I'm surprised she hasn't won it before. I'll put my hand up and say I'm
Right.
surprised she hasn't won it before. But I don't think this album. It wasn't a terrible album, but album of the
Mhm.
year, really? Come on now.
But I mean, when you look at what the Grammys are as like an institution and like what the history of the Grammys, I mean, you go back to, I think it was 2007 or 2008. It was like the same year, Back to Black by Amy Winehouse and I think Graduation by Kanye West. I think it was the same year that both of them were nominated for Album of the Year. People predicted that one of those two was going to win, and it actually went to an album of Joni Mitchell covers by Herbie Hancock. And
Wow.
like, because Herbie Hancock was a legacy artist at that time against two new up and comers. And so
Okay.
because they hadn't awarded him that award yet, the voters of the Grammy institution at that time kind of voted to give it to him because he was a legacy act. And I think that's the same thing that's happening with Beyonce now. So when you understand the institution of the Grammys and like voting trends and
Yep.
how the institution has changed, especially over the last year, they've tried to diversify their voting pool.
Let me just go back a step. So, because
Okay.
I actually wasn't aware of this. So, it's a bit like the Oscars, is it that it's voted for by like peers within the industry?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they said a couple times throughout the night it's like 13,000, something like that,
Oh,
voting
wow. And
members. Yeah,
so if that's the case, then I understand where you're coming from now. That maybe when you're voting, you're not always, even though you should be, you're not always voting for the piece of work. You're going, look, she hasn't won album of the year before. It's about
right,
goddamn time. I understand, and I would probably vote
mm,
that way myself sometimes. So
right,
it's about how hard earned that
right.
award was.
And also, you look at the trends for who wins album of the year. A lot of the times, the Grammys give it to country albums, and like you look at Casey
Oh,
Musgraves, she won for Golden Hour, and Taylor Swift started in country, and her first album of the year was in country, and she's won that award 4 times. So,
wow. But can I just go back that with Beyonce?
mm,
We're just saying that maybe the voters went, you know what, she should have an album of the year award, and I take that on board. But from memory, hasn't she won the most Grammys of any artist ever?
yes,
I think she has.
yeah,
So if I was voting, no, I wouldn't give it to her. No, I've changed my mind now, Nick. Sorry. If I was a voter, I'm
mm,
pretending I'm very important now that I'm voting for album of the year. I'd go,
mm,
no, Beyonce, you've had your fill. Quite the opposite, actually. I would deliberately not vote for her until she put
yeah.
out an album that was worthy of album of the year, like Lemonade, maybe.
I was gonna say she has put out albums that were, but I mean, what album won over Lemonade? It was 25 by Adele, right? And
Oh,
I mean,
well,
even
that's hard to
Adele
beat.
said in her speech that like Beyonce deserved that award more than her. So maybe I don't know. I can understand the argument that maybe not for Cowboy Carter, and like you said, she is
Yeah.
the most awarded like Grammy artist of all time. Maybe I can understand that argument, but so how you mentioned she's the most nominated, like
No, most awarded.
right, most nominated. Also, she has the
Oh,
most nominations. I think she's been nominated 99 times for like this.
wow. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, she's the most nominated. But think about this: prior to this year, she was also the most nominated. But what does it say that she's the most nominated, but also
Never
has
won it.
never won any of the major four
So a
awards?
bit like
Like,
Meryl Streep, she's the biggest winner and the biggest loser.
right. Like in some people's eyes, and like both an argument can be made for both of those,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for both
Look,
sides.
she's a
So,
worthy artist. She's an interesting one, Beyonce, for me,
absolutely.
because I have nothing but admiration, nothing but respect. Although I must say, I'm starting to get a little bit creeped out by some of the rumors and the conspiracies, but I'll keep an open mind to that. But generally, as an artist, I really admire her. But she, for me, probably unlike you,
Hmm.
uh, I don't really gravitate to her music. There's the odd song, obviously Single Ladies, and lots
Mm,
of the girl group stuff from the early days, and later there's a few other tracks. I think she did one with Lady Gaga that I really liked, but didn't get much traction from memory. Oh well, Telephone.
yeah.
But then there was another one after that, I think.
Video
Uh,
phone.
what was it called?
Video phone.
Video. What really was it?
Yeah, that
Okay.
song sucked.
I liked it. I can't even remember the tune. Obviously, I didn't like it that much, but I remember enjoying the video clip for it.
Yeah. Can I curse on here?
Of course, you go for it.
Okay, I was just wondering. Just if anything slips out.
Am I making you want to curse? Am I that
No.
annoying?
No, because I almost kind of did. I almost said fuck, and then I was like, I don't know if I can curse on here or not. So
Look, you can curse generally. You can curse at me. You can curse explicitly or covertly. I don't mind. Go for it.
okay.
Kanye, and talking about cursing, and I might start to curse now. Kanye West, and I
Oh
refuse
god.
to call him Ye because he's a narcissist, and I won't cave in to his demands for me to call him what he wants to be called at any given time. What
Yeah.
did you make of his, if you want to call it, performance? And it really was a performance of toddler like gravity. What did you make of him on the red carpet?
I don't know. My opinions have kind of wavered
Okay,
on
give
it
it to me. I
since.
don't mind. Doesn't have to be the same as mine, but let's just remind
I
people
know.
that he walked up that red carpet with Bianca Censori,
I know,
and
but it's more
then
about the. It's more about the stuff that he's done since then. I mean, you heard about the
oh
Super
yeah,
Bowl commercial, right?
I sure did. I have no words, Nick. I have no words.
It's unbelievable that he's even allowed to be on social media at this point. That somebody hasn't intervened and said, "Hey, this isn't okay." I thought we were more like advanced, like progressive as a society than that. Like I,
Well, see, that's the only part of the argument where I'll be on Kanye's side. I'm quite obsessive about
mm,
being anti-cancellation because
yeah,
the problem here's the argument, Nick. I'm certainly, please don't misread me. I don't endorse anything of what he says. I'm stunned by the
right,
gravity of what he's said. However, the moment you push people like Kanye and their voice, the moment you cancel it, the moment it actually
yeah,
goes underground, and then it's
right. Then you have
dangerous.
a bigger problem,
Underground, I'd rather have this well, it's not obnoxious, isn't it? It's
right?
absolutely obscene. I'd rather have that flourishing above the ground with leaves all over the place so we can all see what a
Right.
disgraceful
No,
person he
you're
is,
right.
then push it underground. Yeah.
You're right.
However, Nick, there's lines to that, and I apologise for getting on my soapbox.
There you go.
If he ever came to the point of inciting violence or criminality, that's a different story. Then that's not cancellation. That's just you're breaking the law.
Right.
And I know there'll be people listening, maybe you included, who might think,
Yeah.
well, he did actually incite violence because he's very close to it, isn't he?
Yeah. I'm kind of just with the state of like America right now. I'm kind of wary to say anything publicly regarding like anything like too political.
It's difficult for you to even feel like you can speak your mind because of the climate that you're in. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Uh, no. I don't know. People are really like sensitive right now. I mean, the economy's kind of in the shitter, and
Yeah,
politics in America isn't. It isn't even what it was like the first time Trump became president. It isn't even.
very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's changed a lot over the last 8 years or so, and yeah,
I still believe that much more than believing in what he's spouting, I think he is just desperate for relevance. And note the timing, Nick. Here's some evidence of that. You had what's his name, Lamar, performing at the Super Bowl.
Kendrick
Kendrick,
Lamar, yes, yeah,
yeah. And then,
phenomenal by the
and then
way.
all of a sudden, this guy has a mental break. I'm assuming it's a mental break, Kanye, and starts
Yeah.
spewing all this out. And with the Grammys, apparently barely invited, very not relevant. So what does he do? Just does everything he can to put the spotlight in. I think he's a desperate, and he's obviously a narcissist. That's easy to say, but I think at the moment he's just terrified of being irrelevant. I think that's the biggest factor at play.
I think that's like the saddest thing about Kanye West is that like I adored Kanye West like at one point. Like when he came out with 808s and Heartbreaks and Love Lockdown and Heartless,
Yep.
like when those albums came out, they were the soundtrack to those times in my life, and like
Yeah.
I adored him as an artist so much for the way he stood up for, black people in who were affected by Hurricane Katrina here in Louisiana. Like
Mm.
when that was happening, he went on, live television and straight up said George Bush doesn't care about black people. Like he was a voice
Mm.
for people, and for a long time, a lot of impressionable young people from that time period looked to him as somebody who is a spokesperson of our generation, and I think it's just so sad to see like the direction he's gone. Like,
Well, by the way, can I just say thank you, Nick, for giving me a perspective I didn't have. See, I didn't realize, and to my shame, maybe, that there was a community of younger people out there who looked up to him for the truth that he was speaking, and that's fantastic.
right, and
And I will
still
absolutely,
do.
I'll take that on board. Well, that's the danger, though, isn't it?
Right,
If there's
right,
still people looking to him and they believe it's in inverted commas truth, isn't that
right.
dangerous? Actually, now it is starting to sound like incitement to violence.
Yeah.
What do you think happened? As a major fan of his early work, and you looked up to him, which is fantastic. What changed for him? Did he just go mad because of his divorce, or has he got mental health issues, or what's the story?
I've heard bits and pieces of what he's done since Life of Pablo. But that's probably the last time Kanye West, to me, was like relevant as an artist. I feel like, there was an album called no, there was a song called Black Skinhead on that album, and I feel like that something might have happened around the time he met Kim.
Right.
I don't know. I can't speculate on his personal
No, but
life. I
that's where
really
you
don't know.
feel it changed, though. That's where you thought it changed.
Not at the time, because I
Right.
just thought, because Kanye had always been controversial up to that point, so like him saying controversial things wasn't
Right.
anything new or anything that we wouldn't expect, because we were kind of always led to believe that there was a deeper meaning behind what he was trying to say. I don't know, probably around the time of Life of Pablo, because that's when that whole thing, Taylor Swift and Reputation and the leaked phone calls, and
Yeah. Yeah.
oh no, and he did that whole thing with the famous video where had all those naked celebrities like lined up, and Taylor Swift was one of them, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that whole thing.
See that there's certainly a theme when you think back to the video that you
Mm,
just mentioned, where he had lookalikes of
right.
celebrities, and there's really look. I believe that he is the absolute definition of sadomasochistic,
Yeah.
because on one hand, I think he totally gets off in the absolute degradation of others. Look at what happened with
Mhm.
Bianca Censore and plenty of other examples. But if you flip it around, I also think he equally gets off with the idea of being a cuckold or
Right.
humiliated himself. And then he's talked about, apparently, behind the scenes, wanting to watch his girlfriends get screwed by guys with bigger dicks than him. So there's a whole thing with him. And at the moment, I think he's bored. I think he's desperate. I think he wants
Yeah.
relevance.
I mean, Amber Rose called him what, a finger in the booty ass bitch. So like, I don't know.
Do you have a
That's
crush on him?
no, no, hell no, ew, no, no.
Okay.
I just like when I was younger. I liked him as an artist. That's about the extent of it.
Just as an artist. Okay. So
Yeah.
for you, it's as a former. Well, are you still a fan? Would it be fair to say you're still a fan?
No, not at all.
Wow.
No.
When did he lose you?
Right around the time he started supporting Trump.
The White
Life of
House with the
Pablo.
MAGA hat.
Yeah, Life of Pablo was the last time I looked forward to a Kanye West album release.
Nick, who's exciting you at the moment though? So Sabrina Carpenter is obviously you're a big fan of hers. Is
Yeah.
there anyone else on your radar that you're thinking, yeah, you've got the celebrity, you've got the buzz?
Well, Madonna's just announced like a new album, like Confessions Part 2, something or
Has she
other. I've
announced
read.
it? I know she's working with Stuart Price, right?
Yeah, and she has said our Valentine's Day gift is her announcing like a new album, Confessions Part 2.
Yay!
I don't
I
know if
never
that's
knew
the name
that.
of the album or if that's just like she's calling it that because she's working with Price again. I don't know, but
Isn't that fantastic?
yeah, I hope
I
it's
hope she
like,
kills it. I hope she kills it.
yeah. Do you want her to have like another Confessions album, or do you?
That's a good
What's your...
question. Look, I think, like a lot of big Madonna fans, of which I am hanging out for her to go back to some of her roots. And that's even hard with Madonna. What is going back to Madonna's roots? I'm not talking about the early stuff, but I'd love to hear, a Confessions, because Confessions was disco on steroids, wasn't it? It was just, it was an incredible album. So yeah, I do. I must say, I'd love to hear Madonna going back to something a little bit more pop conventional, which sounds terrible because she never does conventional pop, does she? But rather than a Madam X is what I'm trying to say. Right. Stay away from the experimental a bit for a while.
I kind of have a love-hate relationship with her calling her that, because I think she's already kind of like set it up to where it's going to be compared to Confessions.
That's true. Yeah.
What if it's not? Yeah, it kind of like sets a really high bar for what she's promising. So
I hadn't thought of it like that. Hadn't thought of it like that, but you're absolutely right. However, if there's one person who can reach that benchmark, it's Madonna, because she's such a creative. She really is. I mean, she finds it hard to jump over the benchmark these days with her bionic hip, but nonetheless, she can do it. If anyone can, she can. I'm excited. I didn't know she'd made that announcement, so thank you for telling me that, Nick.
Of course. It's been, I'm pretty sure this April or this May, sometime this spring, it'll be 25 years since Madonna had her last number one in the
Stop it. Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 2000 was music her last number one?
In the US, yeah.
Wow. That is, my brain's just going boom.
We have a Lady Gaga album coming out before then.
I can't wait for that. I've really enjoyed the first two singles from Lady Gaga. So what was it? Abracadabra is out now, and the one before that was Disease, wasn't it?
Yeah. And if you count Die With a Smile, I mean...
Of course.
You probably
should. In fact...
Because it wasn't originally meant for the album, but they just kind of tacked it on because it did really well.
Will it be on the album, do you know? Or
yeah, it's going to be like the last track.
Oh, okay. I'm telling you, I know not everyone agrees, but a lot of people do because it's huge. I think that song is amazing. When I saw them perform it live, I know they have twice, I think, but I've seen one particular version. I don't know where it was. I apologize, everyone. But when I goosebumps, like that is, you and I started talking about old school celebrity, right? The icons, the goddesses, the gods. My God, when I watched Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga perform that live, just the talent was so overwhelming to me that I almost had to just fall over. You will knock, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, go and put it on a good sound system and watch it and just be in awe of the talent.
I meant to ask, are we live right now?
Not live.
Oh, okay. You upload this later. Okay. I was just wondering.
Yeah. But Nick, we are running out of time, and I'll say this. Nick, you're awesome.
Oh, you're sweet.
No, I'm not trying to be sweet. You're a bloody encyclopedia. You know your stuff. You're passionate about it. It sounds like you've got very strong beliefs too behind what we've been talking about. Would that be fair?
Yeah, for sure. I like listening to podcasts, and I've always liked listening to radio shows. Like Howard Stern and.
I miss the days of Howard Stern. I know you could never do what Howard Stern used to do anymore, but I
would love to bring that back.
So would I. And
maybe we should. Maybe I could be your Robin. Maybe I could be like your.
Absolutely, we should. Although we'd be cancelled with it if we tried to do the same sort of thing. Do you remember when a serial killer phoned in? A real serial killer?
Yeah, and
amazing.
He's had a lot of interesting moments on his show.
So spooky.
That's the thing. He's never acknowledged that whole incident. Since then, it kind of makes you wonder whether or not it was actually, if it was a publicity stunt, or if they actually were able to catch somebody.
But he's also such an underestimated interviewer. I think his interview technique is incredible.
Yes, the best. His interview with Hillary Clinton that he did a couple years ago. It's one of my favorite interviews, for a celebrity. Well, I mean, Hillary Clinton is a celebrity at this point, but.
So, Nick, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I knew I wanted to talk to you because from your Facebook post, it just felt like we had lots in common, and I knew it would be random for you to get a message from a strange Australian guy on the other side of the globe. But I'm glad that you finally spoke to me.
I agree. Thank you for having me on your show. I can't wait to come back.
It was the album that tried to be absolutely everything at once. A splash of electronica, a touch of dance, a sprinkle of glam rock, a nod to R&B, the obligatory ballad, followed by just a hint of the club scene thanks to nudity and mystical mantra, courtesy of No More Rain. X. It was titled by the fans, and in the early days it promised to give us an insight into one of Kylie's most personal periods, her battle with breast cancer. But that confessional album was never delivered. Instead, Kylie and her team, they put out an epic cattle call to all songwriters, musicians of all nationalities, all styles, all ages. And then, armed with hundreds of tunes, they began the process of creating a demo track feast, one that the fans would hunt out for many, many, many years to come. And yes, after some delightful little crumbs along the way, we finally, in 2017, I think it was, got practically the entire treasure trove of musical offcuts. Never quite sure how Kylie feels about that. Damien, Solomon and Michael are with me to discuss the 2007 album, X. Welcome, my golden friends.
Hello.
Hello, my fabulous Kylie fans.
We're all very excited on the cusp of golden, and here we are reviewing X. Damien, so many Kylie comeback albums, but this one is so different. I'm returning this time from illness.
Yeah, this one was the apparent make or break album. It was released in 2007, towards the end of the year, I think in November. It was just every songwriter in London apparently had a track on the album or was writing on the album. The brief was for songwriting was quite broad, so they basically took tracks from pretty much anyone and everyone. It was successful here. It did over 1 million copies. Some love it and some hate it.
Solomon, was X trying to be just too many things?
I'm not really sure. I'm kind of mixed on that, but it was certainly a mash of many different genres, and I think it is a great body of work, and to be released after such a personal battle, it was just what she needed, and I'm glad there were so many happy tracks on there, and she didn't focus on all the negatives, and and it would have been so hard to do that after being through so much. Yeah.
And hats off to Kylie. I mean, she obviously made that decision. She didn't want to dwell on the darkness, or she wasn't ready to, I think is probably what it was. But
yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think it's fair to say a lot of fans were waiting for that personal, confessional type of album.
Well, X has a special place in my heart, obviously, during the whole cancer, with Kylie recovering and me being at the showgirl where I was going to go and see the concert. And then it was, bang, the bombshell was dropped that Kylie had cancer. And, that kind of, I was very hurt as a fan. I cried. I really did. And so X to me, what it was is it's not cohesive, but it's an amazing album full of cool electronic hits, even though Kylie didn't talk about her cancer personally. I don't think I was ready for that personally. You know what I mean? I don't think Kylie was ever going to tell you too much anyway. As we know, Kylie just keeps a lot to herself. It's very personal. But I was in the UK as well at the time, so I was actually very blessed to actually see Kylie, meet Kylie, and be one of 200 from 400,000.
The Kylie Show.
Yeah, the Kylie Show, yeah!
Now, I've just got to say, Michael, because you're too modest to say this, anyone who wants to go and see this man himself dancing alongside Kylie, go to the Kylie Show, look up Got to Be Certain, and probably one of the other tracks.
And Cosmic.
Sorry, Cosmic. There he is. I always pause it when you're on there, Michael. I pause it every time.
It's a special... And the song The One as well, all that kind of... I mean, I just love the whole album as a whole. It was not cancer related, which was fine. But I think it had some amazing songs on there.
I get very frustrated by X because I think it could have been... I still think it's a solid album. It's fantastic. I love listening to it. Brings back a lot of memories for me too, Michael, around the same vein that I knew I liked Kylie, but I didn't know how personally connected to her I was until I walked past the TV and she was on the headline. I was like, hang on, what is this? Turn up the volume. My God, it knocked me for 6, and I was surprised by my reaction. I didn't know I was so personally connected. But this album, speaking of it as a body of work, I feel like it really could have been something if they'd stayed on that track of electronica. Because think of Ruffle My Feathers, Lose Control,
Yes.
Speakerphone, Like a Drug, The One. They had enough tracks to keep this album electronica-tastic if they wanted to.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. I think if you listen to all of the off cuts and even the B-sides that were actually officially released, just there's so many tracks that they could have played with. Do It Again, which is brilliant. Sexual Gold should have been on the record. Ruffle My Feathers should have been on the record. There's so many of the and I understand what you mean. You kind of feel that it could have been a much grittier and more satisfying record with some of those offcuts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I almost believe that there was 2 albums here. You know, I remember with Kiss Me Once, she got Sia in to be the executive producer, and I remember the recollection that Kylie has is that there were so many tracks they needed someone to come in and make sense of it, and Sia said, okay, you've got a group of this, you've got a group of that. That should have happened with X. They had 3 discfuls, 49 tracks at a minimum, and probably a lot more, where they should have grouped them and went, okay, let's release the electronica album from heaven, which they could have done. They truly could have. So much of the public have missed out on great tracks here. We know them, but the bulk of people don't. And then made the album that possibly was a little bit more personal. Things like she fought very hard to get No More Rain on the album, for example. I understand why they wanted to keep it off. Not because it's a bad track. It doesn't fit.
She also fought very hard to put Speakerphone on the album, which they actually rejected.
Is that right?
When she had delivered Speakerphone with Bloodshine Avant, I think produced it, and they actually rejected it the first time round, and there was a discussion that should have been a single. Well, there was no great secret that she loved the track and wanted it on the album, and Parlophone didn't actually like it.
Isn't it a time when she worked with Dead Mouse, the DJ?
Yeah, she did one track with Dead Mouse, which was Change Your Mind, but that also didn't make the record as well. And unlike her dealings with Milo, when she did the 2 tracks with Milo, her dealings with Danger Mouse was pretty good, and he actually took the track and turned it into Happiness for Alexis Jordan.
Yeah, I heard the similarities now. Thank you for that. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And this is really interesting too. It has to be noted that during the creation of X, with this cattle call they put out to all musicians, they pissed a lot of people off. I mean, we're talking about Milo, we're talking about the Pet Shop Boys, and we're also talking about Boy George, and they're just the high-profile ones. And have a little listen to this. This is what Scottish musician Milo said, because he thought fully that I'm in the Mood for Love and Spell of Desire, they were going to be on the album. Ego, maybe, who knows. He said, to be honest, I think this album is a complete mess, except for the track she blatantly stole from Kishmove, 2 Hearts. I plan to keep up my public beef with Kylie for as long as possible. How good is that? I mean, she really... And I think there was a theme too, just as an aside, not that I care too much, that they weren't getting back to these songwriters and saying, yay, we're going to use them, or no, we're not going to use them. They were all confused. The Pet Shop Boys, of all people, they weren't sure until the album came out if their tracks were going to be used.
I think they just used so many people to write for the album. It was kind of like, Hot Chips, big single from a couple of years. I can't remember what it's called now, but that was written for her, and nobody got back to them, so they decided to release them themselves, and it became a number 1. It was just one of those things that every writer in London was going to be on the new Kylie album, which was her Resurrection album, which was going to make them famous. It was commonly known, and they got great tracks, but yeah, you're right. I think they pissed off a lot of people.
Well, listen to this.
Until
we never heard anything back, explained Neil Tennant of the Pet Shop Boys. I think every songwriter in London wrote songs for Kylie's last album. When we were on tour, we had 2 male backing singers, and both had submitted songs for Kylie's album as well. They never heard anything either. And Chris Lowe, the other half of the duo, he went on to say, we won't be doing it again. Really pissed off. High-profile people. Amazing. And
Wow.
Friends, I thought Friends with Kylie. And Boy George was, he publicly slams everyone, let's face it. But at that time, he publicly slammed Kylie for not using Survivor, I think it was called, wasn't it? Or I'm Ready.
Yeah, the track wasn't.
I'm ready,
the track-
but I don't think that song was great. I don't think it was any fantastic.
No.
I didn't. Yeah, that's why it was left off.
Yes, that's right. But they could have told him, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we talk about the lead single? I mean, Two Hearts. I've got a lot to say, but I'm going to let you go first.
Like the song, knew the original from Kishmael, as I knew a couple of other bits and pieces of theirs. They're very underground. They're very cool. Wrong choice of a first single.
Yep.
In my opinion, it's a great song. It reminded me of the beginning of Ab Fab, to be quite honest. It just has that.
I'm never going to get
just-
that. out of my
No,
head now.
you're right.
I was under the impression from Legend that Parlophone pushed for this particular song to be the first, even though it really doesn't represent the album. I was under the impression that she wanted Wow, because she wanted to come back with a bang, but there was much debate, and apparently she lost that debate. I think it's a nice song at 3 minutes.
No,
Yeah.
just no.
No,
just no.
yes.
Solomon, what do you make of Two Hearts?
I was just listening again to The Wheels on Fire today, and every time I hear her cover of that, I just think of Two Hearts and how sonically they're so similar.
Yeah.
But anyway, Two Hearts, yeah. Again, I don't think it was the best choice for a lead single of an album that is so different to the song. It would have been a much safer choice with something like Wow in My Arms to really come back to the direct pop scene and bring back a track that is going to get the most exposure that most people will love.
Now, Solomon, I've
Yeah.
got to tell you something. You've got me very excited because
Yes.
I want you to tell everyone, how old were you in 2007?
Oh, God.
I was 5/6. Yeah, I would have been 6 years old. But
So
I remember it.
people say
Clear out.
Kylie has no young fans. So Michael and Damien, round of applause for the young Kylie fan.
well
They do
done.
exist. They do exist. Yay, they're going to carry the torch because I thought we were all going to die off soon. But here we got Solomon to carry on the
I'm
legacy.
keeping us alive. I'm
Keeping
keeping
us
us
alive.
alive. Carrying it into the next generation.
Brilliant stuff.
Oh,
I'll
welcome,
pass that torch on to you willingly.
welcome to the Kylie Fanaticals.
One day,
Can I-
Long reign.
Can I say Two Hearts was just, to me, the thing I remember about the video was that she looked hot. Yeah, it was different. And Kylie was pushing the boundaries again.
but
do you know what I
Mikey,
mean?
this
So-
video was hideous. Did you just say she looked hot?
She looked hot.
This is a
looked
terrible
hot.
video. I hate it.
I think Kylie looked hot. Pretty
The
awesome.
video,
I-
the second video she did with for TF4 from the BBC was a better shot video, a better representation of the song, so to speak. But I do agree. I thought the video was really average.
But as the song itself, I couldn't gel my head around it, and I tried to get into it. And the thing I loved about the song was the ooh, I'm in love, ooh, that part.
Yeah, well, she says that they spent a lot of time in the recording studio trying to perfect that exact sound. And
It was
funnily
brave.
enough, they ended up with exactly the same as they did of the Kishmael version.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't any different, was it? It wasn't very much different.
Not really.
There was no difference.
Yep, I agree. But no for me as a lead single, that sort of stuffed up the whole X era, I reckon.
Okay, so if we all agree that it shouldn't have been the lead single, and that's pretty universal, 3 mega fans here all saying the same thing, what should have been the lead single?
Wow.
Speakerphone. if that was on the album.
Wow, I agree. Wow, or In My Arms, I agree with Solomon. I think
Yeah.
you're in an arena where pop music at that time had made such a massive return, and you're competing with the Justin Timberlakes, the Britney Spears,
Yes.
to a degree Madonna, but only to a degree, and you poor love, you're agreeing, you're trying to compete with these megastars who are coming up with perfect pop slices, and you need to come up with, and if you've got those on your record, then you put them out.
Yeah, but Damien,
you put
I
your
think
best
that's
foot forward.
precisely the reason why she should never have released WoW, in my opinion, because it was a carbon copy of what was already out there. When you're sitting on something as brilliant as Speakerphone and as experimental, but plus pop and plus electronica. And personally, I just hate WoW anyway. I find it very cynical. She even says, wow, we needed a song like WoW, so we went and made a song like WoW.
Yeah.
For me, that's not natural musicianship.
I think,
really not.
I think, though, if you have a track that's, even to a degree, In My Arms, you have a track which sucks people in, and you're right, they could have made the electronic album from hell. And if they'd sucked people in with a much more bolder first single, then and had a record that was much more electronica, it would have flown.
Mikey, do you agree with me? How amazing could the video for Speakerphone have been? I mean, it could have been freaking incredible. The imagination knows no limits on this song.
I mean, you just got to look at the way it was performed live. That was awesome, man. It went off. You know what I mean? Like, how good is that? Like, and Speakerphone as well. Like, didn't Madonna say she loved Speakerphone?
I think she did. Yeah.
She did.
It was everything Kylie. It was electronic. It was perfect. That would have been the perfect lead single in my opinion.
So
and even actually talking about Speakerphone, it debuted it went on to number 95 on the billboards in Canada, just on downloads alone.
Oh,
did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And that was just downloads. There was no video, nothing.
Although I will say there wasn't a video, you're absolutely right, but there was a fan competition, and this guy who's quite a fantastic amateur animator, he won a competition. I don't know what he got for it. I think he got bugger all, frankly, but his video was played before a Kylie X Tour concert as reward for his efforts. It was pretty good too.
I do remember seeing something on that, yeah.
Track 2 on X was Like a Drug. All I can think is her on the big skull when I think of Like a Drug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, Kylie is like a drug, isn't she? She's for us. She's our drug. But
which drug is she, Mike?
She's a full ecstasy, mate.
At least
Not
she's not a downer, right?
that type.
Pure MDMA. She is a pure MDMA.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Just a brilliant track from start to finish. Flawless.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those tracks that, you couldn't release it as a single because it's just there for the people that bought the album. It's it's one of those sort of great tracks that wouldn't really fit on radio, and the public who don't buy the album don't really deserve it.
It could have been one of those club tracks though that they made 15 remixes for and put out into the DJ universe. Yeah. There's a missed opportunity there with that could have been such a big club track for her.
Now, interestingly, track 3 on the album, In My Arms, this leaked before the album. I think this leaked before the album, and there was a different version. Maybe she wasn't speaking the words or was speaking the words. How do you describe a feeling? Can't quite remember, but I remember hearing this before the album was actually released.
I think it was the version that leaked as, a part of all the X demos. There was a rough In My Arms in there, and it has a sort of additional part before the chorus, where it goes back to when she's speaking. Yeah, and I honestly like that version a lot better than the one that was released, and I wish it got mastered.
Can I also add that In My Arms it was written with Calvin Harris, and I think Kylie would be the first to use him before these American stars decided to use him. So she was actually she actually put him out there in the big world of music, and then they've caught on to Kylie what she was trying to do, but they grabbed him instead, and he's worked with so many other people now, big hits.
He's an extraordinary talent, and I remember Kylie during the interviews around X talking about this young Calvin dude and how brave he was with his production of songs.
But Kylie was the first to use him, so she's a trendsetter. There you go.
Yep.
I don't know why I feel like this, but I feel a little bit ripped off that and I shouldn't because I've got no right to. But I feel a little bit ripped off that she went and made the videos for In My Arms and Wow back to back.
In America?
Yeah, in one long session. It was like it cheapened the whole deal or something. I don't know why. It's my neurosis, I think, kicking in there. But she certainly did that, and I'd never heard of her doing that before or since. It was sort of like a big mass-produced Aldi video club or something.
I think it's maybe her recovery. Could be something to do with her recovery. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Or it could have been to do with the fact that she had a tour looming, and they were like, "Okay, we've got rehearsals for a tour, and you have a week to make 2 videos."
Well, I think it was all of those factors may have been at play, but I think the reality is that they decided to do something a bit different, and I commend them for that, which was release In My Arms and Wow in different territories. So they needed the 2 videos simultaneously. I think it's as simple as that. Now, track 5. Sensitized. We come to Sensitized. Now, this is Kylie riding a bull, red-headed.
The Kylie show, which I was part of.
The slightly less sexy version of the commercial she'd already made in the past. I cannot stand Sensitized. I want to like it, can't like it, hate it with the most glorious passion.
I'm with you on that, Tim. I don't like it. I don't even know why it was put on the album.
And those little woos. Woo!
Yeah. Wasn't it said that for some reason the reason why that song made the album was because what's her name had some kind of contract, Kathy Dennis or something with.
Oh, did Kathy Dennis have a hand in this?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, she's a writer of the track, I think, and producer.
Guy Chambers also was involved in it, and from what I understand, the track was actually offered to Robbie Williams first. Because of the Serge Guns. Well, it was obviously without words. But it was offered to Robbie apparently, and he turned it down, and it had a Serge Gainsbourg sample in it. So Kathy Dennis was brought in. Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde, and Kathy Dennis was then brought in to write the lyrics for it. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't hate it. I just think it's about a minute too long.
I think it's about 4 minutes too long.
I
agree. But then a return to form, Heartbeat Rock. Again, all of this on the condition, from my point of view, that a lot of these don't fit a musical theme, but in their own right, Heartbeat Rock it's a great track. Calvin Harris as well. I remember her talking about there's a little pause in this song, which she doesn't do very often in her work. Just one beat of silence, and Kylie thought that was really brave, and she's right. It is. That's a brave move.
I love it. There was a remix with a rapper as well. I can't remember who it was that kind of came out as well. Obviously,
no, but I do remember who remixed it, and this wasn't the rapper, but I think it was Benny Blanco. Which again, we
love him.
I'm not sure of his. I'm unsure of his history before this, but was he someone that she sort of brought to light, or did he have
no?
Before?
He's been around for a long time, but he's a pure genius. Oh, he's amazing. He knows exactly what the dance floor is doing at this moment right now. Like he's so good.
To a version of Heartbeat Rock.
Fucking love it.
Didn't realise. Never knew Kylie could do the splits. There you go.
No, God, that's perfect. And the American thing, Heartbeat Rock, the cheerleading thing. It's perfect. I loved it. Love it.
I remember the day the DVD came out for the tour, and I was all over that. We just sat in the living room and watched it all together. It was funny.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I just don't know why they made it so grainy. I have no idea what that was about, but nonetheless.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know.
We go to the one. Now, the one is sensational,
magic.
Fan favourite.
Heaven.
Yes, definitely.
Especially the remix, Freemasons remix.
Yeah.
The remix is my favourite. Yeah, that track. It deserves so much more. As a single, not a lead, but a second one. And then I think it all collapsed under the whole Parlophone mess of the regional releases, and then they didn't want to carry the project forward. It deserves so much more than it got.
It deserved so much more than... I am a William Baker defender, but I do not like it when he tampers with the video clips. Leave them alone. And I am really upset that he got his hands on this. It really upsets me. And you just wait till we get to All I See, Mr. Baker, because it's getting to get worse.
Oh, yeah.
It was a tour visual.
Yeah, look, I think the one is one of those things, like the remixes really re-established her in the dance community in a major way, because you heard that everywhere. It went everywhere, whether it be the single edit or the full remix. And the Freemasons can really, like, for a while they couldn't do any wrong. It's just such a beautifully. It should have been a single. It should have been a not so much a lead single, but it definitely should have been one of those ones that everybody knew. It should have been a radio single. Legend has it that she pushed and pushed and pushed for these remixes to be made, and as a fan, I just thought, this doesn't get any better. This was one of those tracks that I just thought, I'm on board.
I was with away from my boyfriend at the time. We left each other, obviously. He was in Chicago, I was in London. The song was out and stuff, and it says, there's words where it says, "Can you hear me? I'm connecting with you. Can you feel me?" Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It is one of the best songs on the album.
Track 8 is No More Rain. Now, this is the one that Kylie fought hard to get on the album. There were a few of those, and she wrote it herself. I love the lyrics to this song. I can't fault those, and they really do tell the story of Kylie. And she wrote this while she was recovering in Melbourne, from what I heard, and I always imagine her in her bedroom at her parents' house, because it was quite cute. She recovered under the care of her mother in particular, and she wrote this song. It was a visualization. It's a true healing journey. She was visualizing being back on stage with her fans. It's actually a little bit of a gift to us.
That's the closest we're going to get to her cancer recovery for that album anyway, I think.
I remember watching it on the DVD and just think, it's emotional still when I watch it, because it's like, it makes you think about her journey, all in the past 2 years, and how she's still here and she's still on the stage, still, selling out and singing to all her fans, and she got past it all.
All I See, track number 9 on X. I think this might be a divisive song. I personally love it. It certainly does not fit on X. For God's sake, it doesn't fit. But I'm sort of glad she got it. And when I first heard it, all I thought was Janet Jackson.
I think for me, All I See is my sensitized. It's for me. It's the one that I can't connect with. I tried.
Acoustically, what about that, Damien?
The acoustic thing that with the three girls and the guitar. I don't mind, but when you consider all of the other things that were recorded around that time that didn't make the record, I'm kind of like,
And this was a rush in as well. It was like, she was just, when I imagine the creation of this album, like I see Kylie's hands and all her production people's hands just grabbing at absolutely everything. And this came in at the last minute. And it's a good track. It absolutely is. So they just went, grab it. Forget what we're actually working on here. Forget the theme. Forget cohesion. Forget everything. It's just a good track. Let's grab it and record it before anyone else does.
I love R&B, and I love All I See. With featuring Mims as well, so I'm not one of those rent rapper. Because I am a Westie Lebanese background, so I love R&B. I grew up with all that, and old school music. I have to say, this was supposed to be the first single in America with no video, and it was released there with a digitally only. So, and then Kylie had to go there and sing this song.
Now, these performances on US TV were hideous performances, in my opinion.
Yes.
There was one on Craig Ferguson. I think she did it on Ellen as well, when she also revealed a bit of extra information about her cancer, the wrong diagnoses. The performances were horrible.
And the William Baker video that he made was I've done better with a handy cam, but it was not actually. I better not say that. It was pretty bad.
That was bad. No, you can say that.
And it was bad.
I know. I mean, it's sort of a tender song, and she's dressed like something you'd find in Malaysia in a red light district.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I know you want to show
our headquarters.
The videos across this whole era really, Wow and In My Arms were the only two that kind of matched up.
But a lot of the styling of the videos in this particular era was were not great. Like, no offense to William, but like he did an amazing tour, and let's not detract from that. But the videos that were made with this and the styling that was connected to it was not that great.
Can I also say, when Kylie had cancer, when she's coming back, her body changed as well. So she would have been insecure about her body.
On one of the reviews of the X tour, one thing I never thought I'd read about Kylie, one of the reviews went on about how good the concert was live, all of that sort of stuff, but the reviewer in the middle of it made this little throwaway comment. Minogue was looking rather more stout than she has previously.
Wow.
I was like, stout?
Yes.
Oh man, that's not kind.
Well, we know that when you get cancer, obviously your body changes with chemo and radiotherapy. You put on this, you become a bit, you're not yourself. So you put on more mass.
Now, before we go through tracks 10 till 13, Stars, Wow, Nudity, and Cosmic, a really brief segue. Kylie show, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay. Yay, I was there. Yay. And I spoke to Kylie.
I forgot Michael was here. I'll go yay then.
Matt, I saw. Can I just share with all the Kylie fans when I was in London and I applied for it, I sent my Essex cover, which is the infamous Essex cover. I don't know if you've seen it. Damien might see it. Yeah. Anyway, to them and say, look, I'm not a dancer, because they're looking for dancers between 18 and 30 years old. I was 31 at the time and I was in London working.
You lied.
And I sent through the Essex, because they're looking for urban. They're looking for urban-looking dancers. And I thought, okay, I must be urban. Am I urban? I don't know. But I sent through Essex, cut the story short. I got an email back saying, congratulations, you have been selected as one of 200 out of 400,000 applications, mind you, for the Kylie show. It was amazing to see Kylie behind the scenes at her, working with cameras, and she was in full control. You know what I mean? Like and I was looking at her, I was like, wow, not many fans can see her just watching her work whilst we had to wait right in front of her. You know what I mean? There's a stage and whatever. And then when she started to talk to us, she goes, oh, thank you for coming. And then anyone from out abroad here, from abroad, like from somewhere else. I put up my hand. I said, look, I'm from Australia. Kylie, I want to show you my Kylie tattoo, because I've got a Kylie tattoo on my shoulders. And so, we had an interaction, and I said, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm from Australia, blah blah. And I just wanted to show you my Kylie tattoo. She goes, I think I know, it's beautiful. But she was just amazing, just to sort of see after the whole cancer thing, and she looked amazing, Australian, and just not up herself, or she spoke with everybody.
She wasn't looking at you as if you might be a few years over the age limit, was she?
I was 31. I told him I was 31. I wasn't lying.
I'm only teasing you, Mr. Urbane. Excuse me.
Look.
All right, let's move on to track 10, Stars. Stars was partly written by Kylie herself. Not one of my favourites, one of those ones I can't connect. It was also leaked, I'm sure, around the same time as In My Arms. I think I remember hearing it before the album was released, and it was in a bit more of a demo, or certainly not the quality that it is on the album. Didn't like it then, didn't like it when I heard it on the album either.
I'm with you, Tim. I don't like it. Didn't like it, can't connect. That's the end of that. Don't like it.
I think it's a sweet. I think it would have been a great B-side.
I'm telling you, at the time, people were like, "Oh, this is the best song ever! Oh, the best thing she's ever done." I'm thinking,
I
really?
do remember the hype about that.
I think that we should do a Kylie Cull, where you get everyone who likes Stars go and stand over there, everyone who doesn't stand over there, and we just pull the plug on the ones who like Stars. Down the pipe. Wow.
I like Wow. It reminds me of particular nights in certain clubs. So, and there were a couple of versions floating around via email of extended versions and versions that were sort of edited to make them much more sort of dance club friendly. It reminds me of Summer. It reminds me of Sun. Then when I saw the video, I was really confused, because it's like a space age Michelin Man thing, and it's kind of like, no, just no. When I hear the beginning of that song, it just takes me back to summer in Sydney. Tamarama Beach, going to clubs, that type of thing. Actually having a tan.
Glamorama. I also remember the Brit Awards as well. I mean, that was a real case of no, just no.
Exactly.
non-Kylie fans love Wow 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 Wow. I know there's a few that that they don't mind that song. I mean, taking Wow 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 Wow. I mean, that's just an amazing chorus. Wow 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 Wow.
Become part of Kylie language, hasn't it? Actually,
exactly.
Yeah.
Look, I think it
Great line.
wasn't too bad, but the as I said, it was with her British, obviously performing at the Brits, that was really embarrassing for Kylie standards. You know what I mean?
You know, it was one of those tracks where I over-listened to it and I got tired of it.
That
but I
happens
do
with
remember
Kylie, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the first thing I thought about the track was, it sounds similar to "Holiday" by Madonna. I still can't pinpoint what exactly about the song.
You're not the first person
similar,
to say it, though.
But no, and I found that
it's that part.
Yeah.
It's a shame Jono the Pup's not part of this podcast because he'd like this track. And a shout out to you, Jono, wherever you are listening. Track 12, Nudity, because Jono has a bit of a habit of doing these podcasts in the nude, or so he says. He's never actually verified that. Yes, apparently he does. He sits there talking about light years and God knows where his hands are. But nonetheless,
Lucky there was no
More
video.
power to him, I say.
that's why we only do audio. So Nudity,
that's
what a
right.
thumping bass does this track have, though?
Nudity. How good was it during X? You know what I mean? I think it's a cute song. I don't mind it at all. It's very, very naughty lyrics.
I love it.
It was an outcast, but it was the outcast that the album needed, and
The outcast
and
that the album needed. I like that.
Kylie, I interrupt you to say that Kylie has just announced "Stop Me From Falling" is being premiered on BBC Radio 2 tomorrow morning.
Breaking news, Kylie just announced, while we're recording this podcast, what?
She just tweeted, so the next single from my new album, Golden, "Stop Me From Falling," is premiering tomorrow on BBC Radio 2 with Chris Evans.
Woohoo!
Which means it'll drop in iTunes on Saturday.
So returning to talk about nudity, I know we're living in 2018, but let's go back to 2007. Listen to this lyric, would you? Time to strip down. Just pop that zipper for me and work that thing out. Just expose it, because you know it's all right. Are you ready to let it go tonight? What is she talking about, Michael?
It's what we've all got, a penis. And I think
Michael, what is she talking about?
something that I don't see much of anymore. Except for mine. But
Solomon will take that button and
I can't
run
believe I
with it,
just said
I'm
that
sure.
radio. No. But anyway, that was I think it was naughty, Kylie.
And then she did
yes.
the viral video that she tried to make here, or did make. I really love that, with all the dancers behind the scenes of the X Tour when they...
Yeah, that was cool.
It was pretty clever, actually. The final track on the album, Cosmic.
I've got a bit of a love-hate with this.
Yeah, I saw that live at the Kylie. I was part of the Kylie show, obviously. The two tracks that I was part of was Got to Be Certain and Cosmic.
I wanted to write a song called Cosmic, Michael.
I just don't think she should have written a song about Cosmic. Very lame. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
And I'm a little bit obsessed with this, that the very first two little beats, or maybe four, are exactly the same, in my opinion. Not exactly, but very similar to Put Yourself in My Place. And no one else can hear it. Everyone says, no, you're nuts. You're an idiot.
No, you can. 100%.
Yeah. I don't think I can hear it either. You are nuts.
No. I actually did this
Sorry, I had to
today.
You're not nuts.
That's all right. I've got a few cracks in at you tonight, so you deserve to get back at me.
Opening the song with "I wanted to write a song called" was, I think there's something so special about that. Yeah, it's a cute track, but not something that I always go to listen to. I think it's something that I listen to when I'm listening to the album in full, and that's about it, really.
I wanted to take your place just sometimes, to know the things you know and why you did the things you do. That does not make sense. Sorry, Kylie. Doesn't. Now, if we spoke about B-sides and additional tracks for X, we would be here for the rest of our lives. I mean, first of all, we should mention that you can easily go to YouTube and get a 1.5 hour to 2 hour video of all the leaked tracks that finally leaked in bulk around 2017 at the beginning, around January or possibly December 2016, around that time. Very exciting. Like I say, we'd been ravenous hordes for years waiting for that to drop. But what about some of the more official? Magnetic Electric was originally going to be the name of this album, rumoured to be, at least at one stage. Great track. She started the anti-tour with this as well.
Great song. Great. Just the whole...
I love this song.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Should have been on the record. I agree that it could have set the tone for a really good electronica album, and it's strong enough to have been one of those things that done live, it could be really well interpreted.
White Diamond, King or Queen, I don't know what it is. Carried Away, Cherry Bomb, Do It Again.
I love Cherry Bomb.
Yeah, now Cherry Bomb does deserve mentioning in isolation, doesn't it?
It does, and that should have been on the album. And I loved it. Should have been even a single.
What do we make of the cover of this album and the styling of X in general? We've spoke about the video clips and the Kylie show, so we've spoken about the styling to an extent. What about the cover here?
I love the cover.
Covers,
say it right here. Yeah, and I love, such a symbol of my childhood growing up loving Kylie was the fact that the little things like, the logo, the K forming a sort of V shape, and that odd sort of drawing of the K with Fever, and then it got carried on to X with a different drawing of the logo. And I love the design of the front cover. It's so vibrant in color without showing too much color. It stands out.
I think it's very reminiscent of the old trademark posters that used to sort of advertise the dance parties back in the 90s, that were done by Mark Waddell, and they stylistically the album cover, with the colouring and the shading and the outlines around it, really take it to a much more artistic level, rather than just sticking a black and white photo of how pretty she looks.
And can I say also, didn't Gaga copy that Kylie look?
I think it was Katy Perry, actually. There's a Katy Perry meme that's gone around. It was 2007 picture of Kylie and 2017 picture of Katy Perry.
And don't forget, during that time, Kylie Minogue went to America, obviously for You For Me after that. Because the album wasn't successful there, obviously. X, it was number 100 and something 30 on the US Billboard.
But in Australia, we had a number one album, which was
number one album. Yes, we did have a number one album, and she sold 70,000, so it went platinum here in Australia. Number 4 in the UK. Which is that's a bit shocked for me. As like Kylie comeback I thought it should have been higher, but obviously Two Hearts didn't really gel much with these people. But it did end up selling like 500,000.
I think it's actually topped the million now worldwide.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but in the UK, she sold 400 and something, close to 500,000 in the UK alone. Yeah. And then it was top 20 in many other countries: Austria, Germany, Ireland.
Switzerland.
And so it did well for Kylie, but obviously the tour did amazing for her. She ended up touring in South Africa, around Europe, and
all over brilliant tour, right? Yeah. This was fantastic.
South America, it was amazing. And don't forget that stage was also first
LED. It
was all lit on the floor. It wasn't been done before as well. It was a big. It was at the time. It was one of the a leader in.
It was a huge production. It was novel and new, and also I'm pretty sure that the X tour kept morphing as it made its way around the world to a certain extent. Anyway, much more than in other tours before or since. It kept changing. I know that it changed a lot. It opened in Paris, I think, from memory, and it was quite long. But it was a very different show by the time it had made it to other territories. Commercially, was X successful?
Yes, commercial success. It was definitely successful commercially. So
And if you can tour for 18 months on a record, even if you in your mind you think you haven't made it commercially successful. If you can tour for 18 months on a record, it's successful. That tour went everywhere. Like it wasn't just an English, Japan,
We went
Australia,
to Asia,
and that's it. She went everywhere, and all through Europe, and it was a massive tour. She knows what she's doing.
And she also was nominated for the Brit Award for the International Female, and she also nominated for the Grammy for the Best Dance Electronic Album. So it was her 5th Grammy nomination. So it did pretty well and sold 1 million copies worldwide.
That's not bad at all. Do we listen to this album?
Yes.
I've got my own version of it as
Of
a
course you
playlist
do.
which I listen to quite regularly because
I don't have that album. I'm listening to an album of Kylie's in the car, and it's the 50+ one. So,
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
Good choice.
But X, I haven't heard it for a while. Now that we've spoken about it, I think I'm going to pull it out and work it in the car.
I actually listened to it today. Like, I actually listened to the proper version, not my own.
What do you think?
Well, I prefer my edited version. For me, it's about a 7 out of 10.
It would have been so much better as a 2-disc sort of release or a 2-part release, because there's so many tracks that fit onto one side and then to the other. I've just found this little list I've done up here. So on disc 1, it's sort of the electro tracks like Magnetic Electric, In My Arms, Heartbeat Rock, Cherry Bomb, Do It Again, Nudity. Disc 2 is the more downplayed side of it, and the more, raw instruments such as Two Hearts, Cosmic, Stars, even White Diamond I put on there. It is such a wide variety of tracks, and it is listenable.
And that's it. X, the album that tried to be absolutely everything at one time. Golden Friends, thank you so much for your time tonight. Damien, Solomon and Michael, fantastic remembering the X album from 2007.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you again. Good to talk again to everybody.
Yeah.